Welcome back to the captivating world of Outlander. In this recap of Season 7 Part 1, we'll delve into the latest adventures of Claire and Jamie Fraser. Claire finds herself imprisoned, sharing a cell with a woman eager to capitalize on Claire's perceived wealth. As she grapples with the grim reality of the long war ahead, she meets resistance and suspicion from those around her. Meanwhile, Roger discusses his new role as a minister with Brianna, preparing to offer solace to soldiers who initially show little interest. A breakthrough comes when Roger encounters Wendigo Donna, a fellow time traveler who needs help returning to his era. Wendigo reveals his failed mission to assist indigenous nations and his separation from his group. Claire is summoned to assist a skeptical Mrs. Martin, a pregnant woman fearful of Claire's infamous reputation. Gradually, Claire wins her trust, securing an agreement to remain silent about the charges against her. Claire then interacts with Governor Martin, leveraging her medical expertise to advocate for additional supplies for Mrs. Martin. The tense atmosphere shifts when Jamie boards the ship to confront the governor. Despite the governor's refusal to release Claire without conditions, Jamie strikes a deal, agreeing to conscript men for the militia. Tom, burdened by guilt and love for Claire, arrives to confess to Malva's murder, a crime he did not commit. He reveals that Malva had attempted to harm both Claire and himself and shares his deep, unrequited affection for Claire. Tom's confession, already submitted to a newspaper, is his way of shielding Claire from further accusations. Finally, Claire reunites with Jamie, reflecting on Tom's sacrifice. Claire confronts Alan Christie at the cemetery by Malva's grave, uncovering his dark confession. He raped Malva, killed her when she threatened to expose the truth, and tried to manipulate her into framing Jamie. When Alan attempts suicide, Claire intervenes, but Ian resolves the situation with an arrow. Jamie and Claire savor bittersweet moments on the ridge with their granddaughter Mandy, but Claire discovers the baby has a life-threatening heart condition. The family decides to travel through the stones to the future for Mandy's sake. He offers Claire a gemstone to use if she wishes to follow them, but she chooses to stay by his side, throwing it away in a gesture of love and commitment. The farewell at the stones is emotional. Jamie shares heartfelt words with Roger, while Brianna reassures her father their bond will remain unchanged. As the family steps into the stones, they reach the future, marked by the sight of a plane overhead. Their fragile peace is shattered when Wendigo reappears. Desperate to learn the secrets of the stones, his demand for a gemstone turns violent, culminating in an explosive confrontation. The house is destroyed, leaving chaos in its wake. A package arrives addressed to Jeremiah Alexander Ian Fraser Mackenzie, likely for Brianna and Roger. Inside, they find letters from Brianna's parents, including details about the explosion that destroyed their house. Ian uncovers a portrait of William, stirring conversations with Jamie about their connection. Tensions rise when Mr. Bug confronts Jamie about the Jacobite gold, resulting in a tragic misunderstanding where Mrs. Bug is accidentally killed by Ian. The community mourns Mrs. Bug, and Ian offers to make amends, but Mr. Bug vows to settle the score in the future. Amid rebuilding efforts, Jamie contemplates their future. He decides to return to Scotland to fulfill promises to his sister and avoid facing his son in conflict. Jamie crafts gold musket balls and hides the Jacobite treasure in a cave, ensuring its secrecy. Roger and Brianna visit Lallybrook, reflecting on its history and imagining its past vibrancy. They discover it's for sale, a poignant reminder of the passage of time. As Claire and Jamie leave Fraser's Ridge, Claire finds comfort in its marker, a lasting symbol of their legacy and the home they built. Brianna and Roger have been living in a trailer on the ridge for 2 years, awaiting renovations on their house. Financial constraints force them to reconsider options, including the Jacobite gold. Brianna lands a job as a plant inspector despite facing dismissive treatment during the interview. Jamie, Claire, and Ian are on the road. Jamie is drawn into the Revolutionary War, compelled to fight not for ideals but for his family's future. Claire plans to accompany him as a doctor, and Ian commits to the cause. William grapples with moral dilemmas and personal challenges. On his journey, he sustains a severe arm injury but refuses amputation. Ian finds him, tends to his wound, and connects with him over shared humanity. A nearby doctor and Rachel, a compassionate woman, save William's arm, sparking a connection between Rachel and Ian. Tom Christie reappears, confessing his love for Claire and his role in placing the obituary that saved her and Jamie's lives. Jamie and Mandy are growing quickly, and Brianna finds them playing where they shouldn't at the graveyard. Jemmy says Mandy wanted to speak with Granddad and thought this was the place to find him. Later, as Brianna reads old letters, she becomes emotional, missing her parents and fearing they might have been buried there. She decides to read a letter from 1777, where Claire writes about their time at Ticonderoga. Jamie has formed a group called Fraser's Irregulars, gaining respect as a Continental Army member, though his advice is often dismissed. Ian struggles with past grief over losing a child and questions his own role in fatherhood. Later, Ian visits his former partner in the Mohawk camp and learns that her son, Swiftest of Lizard, is his. They share a bittersweet reunion, and Ian chooses the name Ian James for his son's future. Brianna faces workplace challenges when a group of men lock her in the dam to undermine her authority. Resourceful, she navigates her way through tunnels and discovers a mysterious wormhole. William arrives at Fort Ticonderoga, now under Redcoat control, and reports to Simon Fraser. He's shocked to find no battle took place and learns of plans to cut off the Northern Army. Meanwhile, Jamie and Claire, landing with hospital patients, organize a careful inland move. A woman on their boat, wary of Ian, is reassured by Rebecca of his character. Roger faces challenges at Jemmy's school, where Gaelic is discouraged, but his passion for preserving the language inspires the principal to invite him to teach. In the meantime, Claire searches for Mrs. Raven, only to witness her death and end up captured. In captivity, Claire tends to fellow detainees, including Walter, who suffers a fatal embolism. Amid the rescue efforts, Ian infiltrates the fort and reconnects with William. Their shared history comes to light, but conflict looms as William warns he may not spare Ian if they meet again as enemies. Jamie and Claire reunite, though she's tormented by leaving others behind. As they regroup, Jamie meets Colonel Daniel Morgan, who recruits him into the Rifles. Jamie's resolve to fight is tempered by his acceptance of life's fragility. Claire writes to Bree about meeting William and how much she misses her. Meanwhile, Roger introduces Bree to William Bucklig Mackenzie, who shares his unsettling story of traveling through time after hearing a strange buzzing sound at Craig na Dun. Bucklig seeks answers from Roger and Bree, believing they might understand his predicament, as he once saved Roger's life. Roger and Bree manage the delicate situation, hiding Bucklig from uninvited guest Rob Cameron. Dinner with Rob seems pleasant on the surface, but suspicions about his intentions linger. When Jemmy disappears, Bree and Roger are thrown into panic, discovering Rob's involvement. The couple rushes to the stones with Bucklig, only to find Jemmy's scarf, hinting at a grim turn of events. On the battlefield, William faces the brutal reality of war during the First Battle of Saratoga. Haunted by the carnage, he struggles to reconcile his ideals with the grim cost of battle. Jamie, bloodied but alive, also endures the brutal toll of war, reflecting on its transformative power over men. A mother and son scavenge corpses on the battlefield, prepared to kill Jamie, but Claire intervenes. She's furious at Jamie for risking his life. Ian returns unscathed, but Jamie sustains a deep hand wound, and Claire reassures him he'll recover. Brianna discovers Rob has taken Jemmy through the stones. Roger plans to follow and rescue him, determined to reunite their family. Ian shares scouting intel while his growing connection with Rachel leads to an awkward but heartfelt kiss. Claire meets a man trading laudanum, later revealed to be Benedict Arnold, whose future betrayal unsettles her. Jamie and others ready themselves for another clash, with Jamie narrowly avoiding harming William in the chaos. The Americans claim victory, and Jamie observes the fall of the British fort. Afterward, Jamie visits the dying Simon Fraser, sharing a moment of kinship. Outside, Claire consoles William, who remains unaware of their familial bond. Jamie gifts Simon's hat to William, using the gesture to connect with him as a man, possibly for the last time. As Burgoyne surrenders, ensuring William's safety, Jamie receives a request to return Simon's body to Scotland. Ian entrusts Rachel to care for Rollo, promising to return. Roger and Buck prepare to traverse the stones, vowing to find Jemmy. Upon arrival in Scotland, Jamie is overwhelmed with emotion, signaling a return to his homeland after years away. That's a wrap on our recap of Outlander Season 7 Part 1. What did you think of the latest installment? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more recaps and reviews. See you next time.